Okay, hello viewers and hello guys. This is Singh, Vedic astrologer, and welcome to my YouTube channel Om Astrojyoti. Again, we are having a wonderful person. He needs no introduction, Mr. Fernando Raul ji from Puerto Rico. And today we are going to continue the series of the Panch Maha Purush Yoga. And today's subject will be the Hamsa Yoga or Hansa Yoga. Many one say Hamsa and many people say Hansa. So M or N, but it is Hamsa or Hansa. So no need to get confused in that. So before introducing it, I will like to ask the guest that last day when we were doing the Sasha Yoga, the reaction from the public was good. So today also the viewers will want to get some of the rarest of the rare knowledge or the quotes which Mr. Raul ji is going to give it to us. So yes, Fernando ji, yes, you can take the stage.
Okay, thank you very much, Kaushal, for that good introduction. Nice to see you, and thank you once again for inviting me to your channel. And we continue this series of the Pancha Maha Purusha Yogas. I just wanted to say that it's very interesting because when you start learning about yogas, these are like the basic ones, right? And they're like very common sense if you really understand the basics of astrology. And it's very interesting because you don't see these in other schools of astrology. You don't see this in Hellenistic astrology. You don't see this in Perso-Arab Islamic astrology. You don't see this in European medieval Renaissance astrology. The Hindus in the Jyotisha have, cataloged these very basic formations, and they have given names to them. And it's very important because these will apply to all schools of astrology. And the Pancha Maha Purusha Yogas, which once again means Pancha 5, Maha great, Purusha person, and Yoga unions are the 5 unions of great people that apply to the 5 Taragrahas or the 5 starry planets, which would be Buddha, Shukra, Kuya or Mangal, and obviously Guru and Shani, or Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. And today we're going to be discussing Hamsa Yoga. I didn't know that that people called it with an N. I usually call it with an M. And let's start etymologically to start addressing what this yoga is, right? So what does Hamsa mean in Sanskrit? As I have understood, Hamsa means swan, right? So the Pancha Maha Purusha Yoga of Jupiter is called Hamsa Yoga because it will allude to the metaphor of a swan, right? And the swan is a very beautiful animal. It has spiritual connotations and obviously has a lot of grace. So that image is very important to understand how this yoga will manifest in real life. Now, the basic parameters for Ahamsa yoga are the following. As you know, the Taragrahas have to be either Usha, Mula Trikona, or Swakshetra, right? So what does that mean when we're talking about Guru? That means that Jupiter has to be either in Karkata, in Danus, or in Meena, which would be obviously Cancer, Sagittarius, or Pisces. And that is the principal requisite for essential dignity. In terms of accidental dignity, the planet has to be in one of the Kendra houses from the Lagna. That being obviously the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, or the 10th house. And basically that will show that you have Hamsa Yoga as a Pancha Maha Purusha Yoga of Guru in your chart. And that's basically the simple rules for it.
Okay. So one thing I would also like to add you that am I audible, Raul?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Okay. So one thing I would also like to tell you here, guys, that not only you can see it from the ascendant, but also if you can, then you can see it from the moon also. Okay. Because moon, any planet which is Kendra to moon, I would like to add on here that it is also as good as it is from the Kendras. Because as we have discussed earlier, that any point, there is 3 point of reference. One is from the ascendant, the second is from the moon, and the third one is from the sun. So these Sudarshan Chakra concept should we have to always keep in mind and then rotate the chart, because many a times there are some yogas which is coming from the sun that does accidentally good, which is not coming from the moon or ascendant. Even in case of the transit, I have seen this especially, that it is that in classical Jyotish we know that yes, from the moon you take it, but in my point of view, I see it from both ascendant and moon. But even when you are going to the South Indian case, South Indian state, like especially the Tamil Nadu and the Kerala state, these states considered it from sun also, and also from the Arud Lagna, the AL. So that is why any Mahapurush yoga can also be seen from these 3 points. The pillars are the same, but yes, at means overall primary level, it should be seen from ascendant, and
Correct.
then everything will be fall into place. Because
Yes.
yes, sir. Yes, please continue, sir.
Yes, and let me remind people, if they are from the sun and the moon, and they are also from Lagna, then you have those three together, and it's more powerful. Now, I know what you're saying, especially the idea of the Chandra Lagna, the Surya Lagna, and obviously the Aruda Lagna. And I prefer to say that they will principally manifest from Lagna, right? If they are from moon, yes, but I would say it would be stronger from Lagna. They can manifest from moon, but if they manifest from Surya Lagna, yes, but it's going to be stronger in the moon, and it's going to be even stronger from the Lagna. And then if we go to Aruda Lagna, then, there are debates there, because as you know, there are several ways to get Aruda Lagna. There is a basic way, right? But there are certain, little things that will change according to the region that they're using in terms of their parampara to do that type of Jaimini technique. But yeah, I mean, if you go by the basic Aruda Lagna, I guess you could do that too. But I would say that from Lagna is the principal way that we can really assert how the Hamsa Yoga would be. And before we go into the the particularities of how this yoga will increase or decrease, I would like to read from the classics to understand how this yoga will manifest. And once again, we're going to use Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra. This is the edition from Dr. G.S. Kapoor. I guess this is one of the most popular ones. It's a good edition. It's not the best, but I've had it for a couple of years, and it's okay with me. So,
The most wonderful translation was done by R. Santaram of
yeah, Santanam. Yes, the thing is that
R. Santaram.
Santanam translated the first volume of this series, but the second volume was translated by Dr. Kapoor. I don't know why, but that is so. Yeah, Santanam is very good astrologer. Yes.
Because at that moment of time he was very old.
Oh, really? Oh, cool. Thank you, Kaushal. I didn't know that. And by the way, I didn't know that Hamsa was also spelled with N. That's interesting.
Yes, because swan in Hindi we say Hans, Hansa, and many times it is Hamsa.
Yeah, because in ancient Jyoti, in ancient Sanskrit, you would pronounce the A, but as time went by, you dropped it. Yeah, I know. That's very interesting. Thank you. I didn't know that. So let's go to chapter 75 of this edition, and we're going to go to Shlokas 13-16, and it says, the Hamsa native has the Hamsa native has voice like a Hamsa, a swan. I've never heard a swan, but he has a voice like a swan. Has a handsome appearance and well-developed nose. He's a king with phlegmatic temperament, honey-like tawny-colored eyes, red-colored nails, sharp intelligence, sturdy cheeks, round forehead, and beautiful feet. He has marks of Matsya, fish, Ankush, the iron hook with which elephants are driven, Danus, bow, Sank, conch, Kamal, lotus, in his hands and feet. He is very passionate, and his lust remains unfulfilled. He's 96 anguls in height. I don't know what that is. He is fond of swimming and playing games. Yes, go ahead.
96 fingers.
Oh
one
my
finger
God!
Is 1 angul. So 96 means 4. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. You just divide the 96 by 4. So that height means above 6 feet.
Wow.
6'2" or something like that. Yes.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that measurement. Thank you, man. Okay, angles in height. He's fond of swimming and playing games in watery places like a swan. He enjoys life fully and as ruler of a land situated between the Ganga and Jamuna, dies after attaining the age of 100 years. So let's talk about this shlokas, for example. So it's first says that Hamsa native has a voice like a swan, right? Obviously, swans do not talk. Obviously, we've seen in mythologies around the world the idea of swans and how they relate to different stories. But, you know, what does this mean? Well, as I said, the swan is a symbol of spirituality, of grace. So this can be translated into the idea that this is a person that's going to have a very graceful voice, a very eloquent voice, right? As I've seen, and this is something I didn't say in the last videos, which I'm going to say in the others, you know, when you have Pancha Maha Purushas, they're very subtle. They're very subtle, and these are not very obvious. You know, you have to know the person, and you have to spend time with the person to see how sharp these planets are. And when I've seen Hamsa yogas, these are very beautiful people and very calm, very graceful, very taciturn. O sea, they are very, they take their time, right? But they're very elegant. You know, they carry themselves around with grace and honor. So when it says the voice, we can, you know, extrapolate that idea of somebody that's going to be very graceful, right? And then says has a handsome appearance and well-developed nose. Obviously, what I said, handsome appearance. Well-developed nose, well, I don't know about that, where that comes from, but, you know, who knows, right? I don't have Hamsa Yoga. I don't know if you have Hamsa Yoga, but, you know, we would have to see the different natives with that. He is a king with phlegmatic temperament. Remember, phlegmatic alludes to the idea of Vata dosha, okay? Right? Phlegmatic is Vata or is it Kapha? I think it's Vata, if I'm not
No,
mistaken.
Vata.
Vata,
Because
right. Yeah. Oh, you caught yourself. What were you going to say, Kaushal?
I'm saying Vata.
Vata. Okay, that's right.
Yes, Vata.
Yeah.
Kapha, Pita, and Vata. Pita is especially given by Mars. It
And
will be
Sun.
Ruchaka.
Yes.
Yes, yes. And
Yes.
Kapha will be given by Sasha.
Correct. Yeah, the thing
Right.
is that I sometimes don't know how to translate it into the Western terms. I know the Sanskrit ones and I get confused because I learned them in Sanskrit first. But yeah, and what does Vata mean? Vata from the dosha perspective and Ayurveda perspective alludes to the combination of Akash and air, right? And it alludes mainly to air and the idea of transportation, of going from point A to point B. It's just the idea of movement within the tissues and within the science of health of Ayurveda. Now, I lost the chapter, so let's go back here. I'm sorry. 75, if I'm not mistaken. Correct. Then that means he has a phlegmatic temperament or a Vata temperament. So that alludes to the idea of someone who will have Vata qualities. But this is very interesting because usually Vata is alluded to air, who is ruled by Shani, right? But Jupiter rules Akash, which is also a part of Vata, which sometimes people forget, right? People always allude Vata to air, but it also alludes to Akash or ether. Okay, then it says honey-like tawny-colored eyes. This is very simple. Remember, Jupiter alludes to the color yellow, although there is a lot of debate about the colors and the planets and the signs. The classics will change their opinion about the signs and the colors. The planets more or less stay more or less the same, but they might.
Pisces. I will like to tell you one thing here.
Go for it.
In case Jupiter, Saturn especially, and also the Mercury.
Kaushal, you are getting cut. Can you repeat that again, please?
Now, when we are looking at the colors, especially the colors of like honey color or like it is yellow color. Many a time people will say it is yellow color associated with Jupiter, but actually Jupiter's color is brown. Okay, it should be brown, like the color of your beard. Okay. Yes, and any color which is coming in the shade in the that color, either very deep or very light, that will be considered as your Sagittarius, means as Jupiter. Now when we are looking at Sagittarius, as Sagittarius is fiery, so anything which is burnt, the color becomes more darker. Now when we are moving to Pisces, anything which we are diluting, it becomes more lighter. So the brown color essence is there, brown to yellow, yellowish brown, something like that. But the degree will vary, as Pisces will be a light color brown, but Sagittarius will be a deeper brown, means a more like yellow, but dark yellow
Hmm.
or dark brown kind.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I also remember that Danus is also associated to yellow, while Pisces has a lot of associations in terms of color. Some people say it's transparent, other people say it's the color of fish.
Right, right.
And but traditionally, if we go to chapter 3 of Parashara, he will state that Jupiter is yellowish color.
Yeah, exactly.
But we have to
Right.
remember that the colors and the planets and the signs, there's a lot of debate in terms of
Oh,
different
lots of
schools of
debate.
astrology, and
Lots of
some of
debate.
the reason is because in terms of translations, colors have unique names, and through time they get lost, right? Like, for example,
Right.
blue, what does that mean? Yellow, what does that mean, right? Maybe in 2000 years yellow is going to be
Actually,
called another number, another name. Yes.
100%, 100%. Regarding the blue, I would like to tell you, the blue is not that blue with which intention they wrote. Like in when we are discussing about Saturn, Saturn is blue, but in that moment in Sanskrit, Neel, the word Neel means black.
Or Krishna also means like black or dark. Yeah.
Right, right. Krishna
That's why
means
Krishna is blue. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
right. So it is like that only, or it is also called Shyam, Shyambaran. Shyambaran means it is you know tan, darker side. Like not, I will not tell like people like they are fully black. That is not called tan. But yes, you say if you are making me 3 shades darker, I
Yeah.
become Shyam,
We call
something
it
like that.
milk with coffee. Very dark
Correct.
milk with coffee.
Yes,
That's how we
like
call
that.
it in our country.
But
Yeah.
not black.
No, black would be darker. Yes. So you have that. Then you have red colored nails. I don't know where that comes from. Red also alludes more to a sun or a Mars quality, which we have to remember. There's a lot of relationships within, Mars, Sun, and Jupiter. People always talk about, Saturn and Venus are the best friends, but we also have other relationships in Jyotisha where that occurs. We have that between Mars, Sun, and Jupiter. We have that between the moon and the sun. And we also have that, believe it or not, between between Venus and Mercury. But obviously, Mercury gets debilitated in Virgo, so that is that just forgets. But the idea that the only best friends in Jyotish are Venus and Saturn because they're each other's Yogakarka. Well, that's the reason why it is so popular. But these three planets, Mars, Sun, and Jupiter, also share that type of relationship in addition to the luminaries. So then we have more concrete descriptions. We have sharp intelligence, which obviously will relate to a well-dignified Jupiter. Then we have sturdy cheeks, the idea of having flesh. Remember, Jupiter alludes to lipids, it alludes to fat. So
Expansion, exactly.
and
Body fat.
today, fat people, it's more of a sign of decadence in modern times. But in ancient times, if you were fat, you ate a lot, and if you ate a lot, you were rich, and if you were rich, that's an allusion to Jupiter. So there you
Yes.
go, to a certain degree. Then you have round forehead and beautiful feet. Um, Obviously, the feet will allude to Pisces. However, the forehead alludes more to Taurus and Aries, or Mesha and Vrishava. So yeah, you kind of have that. Then we have the Samudrika allusions, the idea of the Matsya, which is the fish, the Ankush, the elephant, the Ankush, the Danus, the Shank, the camel in his hands and feet. For those who study Samudrika, this will be very interesting. Once again, showing how Jyotish and Hasta Samudrika, or how do you call the feet Samudrika?
Right.
How do you call the feet Samudrika? Hasta
Uh,
Samudrika is with the hand, but the feet Samudrika.
Palmistry.
I'm sorry.
Feet Samudrika. Hasta Samudrika is a palmistry,
Uh-huh.
right? Palmistry. and feet Samutrika is called. Wait, let me ask someone.
Sure, go for it. And then we have uh he is very passionate and his lust remains unfulfilled. So this is very interesting because here we have a dichotomy of how he is very passionate but his lust remains unfulfilled, alluding to the spirituality that the natural spiritual Brahman, which is Jupiter in the planetary cabinet, will manifest, because he's very spiritual, and usually people who are spiritual are passionate towards God, right? They're not passionate towards the opposite sex, towards lustful. So you have that dichotomy. Yes, you're gonna say.
Yes, I was also trying to say in this means regarding the thing which you said, that there is also one incidence why it happened also when Moon abducted Tara. Have you heard of this story?
You mean the Buddha? Ah, right, the sun, yeah, between
Right.
Tara and Chandra, and
But
they had
yes,
Buddha.
exactly. So
Yeah,
even right. Even Guru knew that
that she
Buddha
was
is an
cheating.
illegal
Yeah,
child,
yeah.
illegitimate. Exactly. Even after doing that, the relationship between Mercury and Buddha is neutral. Why? Because Guru Jupiter gave him a teaching like a guru should give. Okay, he did not deny. So that is why this point, like uh, the last point of the sloka, when you are telling that yes, when they are going into the court, when they are going into the king's court, yet they are in pain, no issue. But yes, they will surrender themselves to higher being and spirit. They will be always into spirituality. So this is the biggest example. Yes, that Jupiter, even something happened that is not very, at that day and age, which is not very, good thing to happen.
Yeah.
But but yes, but he
Especially, I don't
did
know
it.
how is that seen in your culture, but in my culture, that is seen like very it's very unlucky for the man to say the
Yes,
least,
yes, yes, exactly. So the same thing, very unlucky. Even then, Jupiter did not give up its sattvic quality.
because he is the guru. Yeah, he's the spiritual counselor. He is above the mundane qualities that will happen between these petty human things about relationships. Yeah.
So even then, Jupiter is, that is why spirituality, if it is intact, then Jupiter, yes, he did everything in his Maryada. The things like that.
And it's
Yes,
very
sir, please
interesting.
continue.
Yeah, it's very interesting because to a certain degree, I mean, the moon is also sattvic, right? So it's interesting how the moon had had a relationship with Tara, right? And then they had Buddha, who is rajasic. But it's very interesting, and that story is
Exactly.
very
And also,
uh
uh, and also you see, even after this mishap, there is a great friendship between Jupiter and Moon. They
definitely,
consider each other to be a very good friend, even after
definitely.
that. But one more thing I would like to add on here, that Gayakasari is also coming with, especially when it is from Moon, the
Oh yes,
Gayakasari
we're
yoga.
gonna talk about
Yes,
that after we
yes.
read. I'm gonna talk about
Afterwards,
that. Yeah, yeah,
yes.
because Gaya
Every yoga
Kesari.
we are going to talk.
Yeah. I have Gaya Kesari in my chart. It's very good. But yeah, let's continue. So
Right.
then he says he's 96 angles in height, which we just discussed before. And then he says he's fond of swimming and playing games in watery places, just like a swan. And you must remember that he is Swakshetra in Pisces, he is Usha in Karkata, which are watery signs. So it kind of alludes to that. And then he says he enjoys life fully and as ruler of a land situated between the Ganga, which is the river in India, and the Jamuna. What's the Jamuna? Another
Gang,
river?
Ganga. Wait. Let me tell you one thing.
Okay, go for it.
Uh, it is like not ganja, it will be ganga. Ga.
Ganga. I'm
Okay,
sorry, Ganga.
ganga.
Right.
Okay, ganga. Right. Ganja is marijuana. That is not the thing which you were pronouncing. It was
That's
marijuana.
true.
It is
That's true.
okay.
I
So
know a lot about that. Yeah, true.
okay, okay. So Ganga is the holy river, you know that, and Yamuna is also the holy river. And one more thing I would like to tell you here. One more thing is Yamuna is the sister of Saturn. Okay.
So she is the daughter of the sun, then, of Surya also. Cool. I didn't know that. That's very interesting. And then he says he will die after attaining the age of 100 years. So there you have it. That's what Parashara says. There's a lot of debate when this was written, so we're not going to talk about that. But, after Parashara, we also have another reference to Hamsa Yoga by Mantreshwar in Faladipika. Okay? And I didn't have the correct shloka and chapter last video. Now I have it. So this comes from chapter, if I'm not mistaken, chapter 5 or 6. This is chapter, correct, 6. This is chapter 6 of Faladipika, shloka 3, and says, the person born in the Hamsa Yoga with M will be a king extolled by the good. He will have in his legs and hands marks of Sankha, Padma, Matsya, Ankush, Rekas. He will possess a beautiful body, will eat sumptuous food, and will be of righteous disposition. Okay? So here we have the description. Let's go once again, line by line. So it says the person born in the Hamsa Yoga will be king exalted by the good. So once again, we see the quality of grace, but now we see it alluded to a position of power, of leadership, and obviously extolled by the good because Guru is the great benefic. Then we say he will have in his legs, then we have the Samudrika allusion. We have the Sankha, the Padma, the Matsya, Ankusha, Rekas, which would be the lines or the drawings in the hands according to Samudrika. Notice here that both Parashara and Mantreshwar talk about the allusions of the Samudrika, which is very interesting. Then we see he will possess a beautiful body. Once again, we see the idea that reflected in Parashara, the idea of a body like a swan, the gracefulness, the beauty. He will eat sumptuous food. Remember, Jupiter is the great benefic. Jupiter alludes to fat. Jupiter alludes to sweet foods in Jyotisha. So sumptuous foods will be very tasteful foods because he has to do with richness, right? So in ancient times, if you had a lot of food, you were rich. Then Jupiter alludes to that. And will be of a righteous disposition that explains itself by itself. So there you have it, guys. These are the descriptions that the ancient Jyotishis gave us to understand this yoga. And as you can see, what do they explain? Well, they explain that this will be a native who will probably live comfortably according to this yoga. Remember, we have to look at confluence. We have to see other yogas in the chart. We have to see other things going on. This yoga alludes to the benefic qualities of Guru and how they will manifest with great power, creating a person who will be graceful, beautiful, who will understand spirituality, who will truly be of a sattvic disposition. Now, what are the things that will change this, right? Because not all Hamsa yogas are going to be the same, right? So first of all, we have to look at disposition. If we have Jupiter in Cancer, in Karkata Guru, right? And Chandra is in Scorpio, that will cause a little bit of difficulty, right? But if we have a Hamsa yoga and the moon is in Taurus, or maybe even in Cancer, as we're going to see later on, by the Gayakasari, this will be benefic. So we have to see the dispositor, which in this case will be the moon, because if Jupiter is in Sagittarius or Pisces, then he's Swakshetra Muratikona, so there's no problem there. We also have to see what we mentioned, Kendra from moon and sun. If they're both in the Kendra houses from Lagna, it's even stronger, okay? Then we have to see Lagnesha, because if we have Jupiter in Cancer, Sagittarius, Pisces, and let's say we are a Virgo Lagna, right? And Jupiter is in Sagittarius, right? in the 4th house. Beautiful Hamsa Yoga, right? But if Mercury is in Pisces in the 7th, then we're going to have difficulty. You know, that Hamsa Yoga will express itself, but if the Lagnesha is in the 7th, debilitated, Nicha.
Right.
Obviously,
100%.
there is going to be a type of Nicha Vanga there, which, you know, we're not going to get into details.
Exactly, but the thing is, at the first instance, you are going to have the difficulty of Nicha. Then after second stage, it is a Bhanga.
Definitely. And let me tell you about the Nicha Vanga, which we can discuss in other videos. You know, when a planet is Nicha, he's in a ditch, like 30 meters deep. I can't get out. You know, he's in a ditch. But if you have Nicha Vanga, however it might produce itself, it's like a ladder, right? Or a rope. The ladder is not going to take you up the ditch. You have to climb the ladder. You have to climb the rope. So Nicha Vangas are not magical. You have to put an effort by yourself, right? Then we also have to see if the Hamsa Yoga is connected to the Lagnesha. This is very important. If the Hamsa Yoga is connected to Lagnesha, then it will create more results. Now we also have to see if the Hamsa Yoga participates in other benefic yogas. The classic one would be Gayakasari Yoga, which we talk about, which is when the moon and Jupiter are either conjunct or Kendra. Now, a teacher of mine, Mr. Boney, taught me that if they are in Kendra, they're called Gayakasari Yoga. If they are outside of Kendra, in Panáfaras or Apoclimas, they are called simply Kesari Yogas. Now, this will depend on the region. As you know, you're Indian, you know how that changes. But, you know, if it's happening and you have a Gayakasari Yoga, for example, if you have Hamsa Yoga in Cancer and the moon is in conjunct with Cancer and it's in the 1st house, this is going to be very beautiful. You're going to say?
I would like to only add one point here.
Go for it.
That even if, like, the thing is, the most benefic place for Jupiter is your ascendant. Because
yes,
in ascendant, Jupiter is exactly Digbala. Plus, in ascendant, Jupiter is alone so very powerful that it can destroy, because this is the condition attributed to Jupiter. If you can refer to the text, okay, especially the
Kaushal.
Okay, in that he says Jupiter in the Lagna.
Kaushal, can you repeat, because you're getting cut? Can you repeat everything, because it's getting cut a little bit.
Okay. I will repeat it again.
Go for it.
So Jupiter in the ascendant is wonderful thing because it is getting a Digbala there. Second thing, Jupiter alone in the ascendant will destroy all the even 1,000 bad yogas at once.
Amen. True.
This concept actually was given by the sloka I am not remembering right now, but it is given by your Varaha Mihir in his book Brihad Jataka. Right, yes, Brihad Jataka or Brihad Jatak. You definitely, if the slok number I don't remember now, but he says Jupiter alone in the ascendant can destroy every bad yogas alone, even if the yogas are 1,000 bad yogas. So yes, so definitely in ascendant Jupiter is excellent.
Yes. Because it's the Brahman, it's the spiritual counselor. He basically is the great benefic, and if he is in Lagna, he's going to be very strong. And if it's in Hamsa Yoga, he's going to be very strong. And even if he's not in Lagna and he's conjunct Lagnesha or seeing Lagnesha or seeing the Lagna, the holy water of Jupiter will protect you from a lot of things. Because I've seen this. I've seen very bad yogas and you see Jupiter in the Lagna, Jupiter associated to the Lagnesha. And with that quality, it really protects the individual. So you're totally correct. I have to agree with that. Other things that will improve that Jupiter, and I must say, if he's participating in good yogas, in addition to the Hamsa Yoga becomes stronger, right? But if he participates in malefic yogas, then, you know, the Hamsa Yoga decreases, right? And at the same time, if he's in the 7th house, where he does not get Digbala, that Hamsa yoga is going to be a little
Your
bit.
video is freeze. Hello.
Can you repeat? Yes.
Repeat it,
Oh,
Fernando.
yes. What I was saying is that you were saying about Hamsa yoga in Digbala, in the first, it's going to be very strong. But if it's in the seventh, that Hamsa yoga is going to have a little bit of difficulty in terms of creating concrete results in the real world. Now, this is not the idea of a cancellation, but this is the idea of having, you know, that Hamsa yoga in a place that will not be as good as it is, right? And the other thing that we have to take into consideration is the influence from benefics or malefics. If that Hamsa yoga has a strength of Venus, then it is better, right? But if it has the aspect of Mars or Saturn, then, you know, it will have kind of more difficulties. And the other thing is that Hamsa yogas and Pancha Maha Purushas are always activated, okay? But if they fall on dashas during our prime, then they are much better, okay? Now you have to take that into consideration, because if the dasha falls during the time that you're a baby, then that dasha is going to, you know, result in better results for your parents, right? And if it falls when you are older, then, you know, the results are going to be there, but they're not going to be as good. So you have to take that into consideration. So basically, these are the other extras that you have to take into consideration in order to, you know, measure how benefic this yoga will always be benefic, but how strong or less strong this yoga is going to be.
Right, 100%. Because you see, everything ultimately depends upon the other factors also. If
Yes.
everything is fine, like other benefits are supporting the yogas, and even other planets in the Panchada Matri, they are also supporting the yoga, then this is wonderful. And even the dasha, right, at the right age, a person should be getting the dasha, as you have already told regarding the dasha. If someone is having a Hamsa yoga and the dasha he is getting in 90 years of age, so that is not a good thing. Okay. Another one thing is that biggest significant, like, you know, when we are talking about Jupiter, one thing we have to bear it in mind, that Jupiter is like the second sun. Okay.
Yes.
It is as huge, not as sun, but second to sun. Another thing is Jupiter is also expansion and a fiery planet. So, you know, everything which is somehow coming from the sun's point of view, the Jupiter is endorsing it. Okay. And also that is why sun's say here is also very important, because any yogas, whatever yoga you are having, I'm not going to say it for the Sasha yoga, because Sun and Saturn are enemy. But in case of Hamsa yoga, the association of Sun will definitely give more importance and more weight too.
I just
So
want
that's
to
it.
add to that. I sometimes mix Hellenistic astrological concepts with Vedic ones, because I think they're more or less the same. And I apply the principle of sect. I always say that if this Hamsa yoga occurs during the day, a day chart, that you were born during the day, it's stronger than if you were born during the night, because Guru belongs to the day sect in Hellenistic principles. So, you know, and if it's happening in Sagittarius, believe it or not, it's probably going to be a little bit stronger, or, you know, more or less the same as in Cancer. To, you know, not to insult anyone, or you know, question any principles, right?
100%. So I guess anything more which you want to include here?
I just want to say that this is a very graceful yoga. Like, we talked about Sasha. Sasha yoga is like somebody who's
Rough
very.
and tough yoga.
I'm sorry, sir?
It is more rough and a tough yoga. Rough and tough
Yes,
yoga.
yes. But as I told you, Mahapurushas are very subtle. And Sasha yogas, I see them like even though he's a Shudra, he's not a Kshatriya, but it's like somebody who has gone through a lot, but is very graceful. Hamsa is somebody who is very graceful by himself and very beautiful person. You know, this can be a very ugly woman, a very ugly man, but they're very beautiful. and it's not,
the soul is beautiful.
yes, yes, and it's not like they're beautiful because of charisma or that. No, it's beautiful from a more subtle spiritual way. And these are people that are very open to new ideas, very open to concepts at the beginning, right? Just to explore, right? If they see it's not good, they will drop it, right? But these are very graceful, very open-minded people, very spiritual, very religious, you know, people who understand God, right? Especially during these modern times where, you know, God is, it's so irrelevant to so many people, unfortunately, and that's why we live in a world that we live in. But that's something I have to say. This is a very graceful yoga. Very quiet but very intelligent, very elegant but very crafty. So yeah, that's what I have to say in respect to Hamsa so far.
Right. So yes, guys, if you have any questions regarding, because we have covered the Hamsa, the second Panch Maha Purusha Yoga, and this was excellent conversation between me and Fernando ji. Especially, he is doing excellent job by giving you ideas from not only the Vedic culture but also Western and also many other ancient cultures. So this is one wonderful service done by you, sir. And
Oh no, thank you
definitely,
for inviting me.
if you are having any,
And I learned from you also. I didn't know about the height thing, so this is very cool.
oh, okay, okay. So that is wonderful because when we are exchanging things, then yes, we learn each from each other and we teach each other. So this is wonderful thing. So and all the guys, stay tuned to my channel Om Astrojyoti, and Fernando ji will be coming again with another Mahapurush Yoga. So don't worry, and if you have any questions, you can ask below in the comment section. So this is KK Singh signing off for today, and God bless and have a wonderful day.
Next
Thank
time,
you.
Rushaka. Ciao, ciao.